This is a Hanzo shear. She was afraid to give them to me because her rep said you've got to send them back to them in California or whatever. It's just a shear. It's not anything. I've sharpened others. You've probably seen those videos. I'll try to put some links at the end of some Hanzo sharpening videos. But this is a Hanzo HH4, which is a real common one. And I'm going to go through and sharpen it. And this is ordinary shear sharpening. Nothing weird, nothing really messed up, just sharpening. And it is 10:42. Let's see how long it takes me to do this. So I have a step, if you've seen the other ones, and I go through these steps. This is good for people that are starting out. This is a convex edge shear, and these are the steps we go through. And you can tell your customer that this is Japanese style sharpening, because we're using Japanese waterstone. The Flathone system as they're used in Japan and in China, which is where most of the shears are coming from, frankly. So I'm going to just take my thumb out, close it on here, and you see it doesn't cut. She said it was folding hair. Well, this hair doesn't cut too bad, but so we've checked it, we tested it. I wanted to change the angle. This thing comes with a 50-degree angle, but she said she did a lot of slide cutting, and I said I can change the angle from what it is originally, and I said it'll go longer between sharpening, but the sharper angle will be better for slide cutting, but you're just going to have to get it sharpened more often. And she said, no, make it sharper. So that's what I mean about consulting. And it's also good to write it down, so next time you go in there, that was the internal clicker plate I popped out of there. And see, here's something I want you to see. If you saw my last video where I had the little school scissor, Joelle Brisky had a ball bearing washer. This one just has a little plastic washer. And I can guarantee you this shear cost a whole lot more. So I'm going to clean it up. The ball bearing washers never wear out. Clean it up. And I don't think these have ever been sharpened. I think they recommend they get sharpened every 2 months, which we usually recommend our shears get sharpened when they need it, or at least twice a year. So now I'm doing my ride line, just like any other ordinary convex edge shear. Put my pressure over my pivot. Gotta have the shears apart. This is a 2000 grit waterstone, Japanese waterstone. And I'm looking, I've got a nice ride line. Usually these shears sharpen up pretty quick and pretty easy. Looks good. Now my clamp was set at 45 from the last shear that I sharpened. And I'm going to move it up to 50 on these. A lot of the shears are coming at 50. Our rose shears are 50 degrees. Our fishbone is actually 60. The higher the number, the sharper it is. Not like the reference for knife sharpening, which is the opposite. Don't ask me why. I have a whole video about how we do things opposite as shear sharpeners. But just remember that the higher the number, I don't think I need anything that coarse, 400. Maybe I can get by with this 1500 grit. A little bit worn because I'm not taking much off. And the metal's not all that hard. So, where was I? I like to tilt it down in the clamp too. Do you see that? I can get the burr at the tip better. Especially these, they were really dull at the tip, which is kind of typical when you find somebody that point cuts. And you see how just one hand does the movement. about 3 times, and then I'm going to feel for the burr. I got a burr all the way down. That quick, that easy. Oh, I think I was talking about angles on shears. Our rose shears are a 50-degree angle, but I usually sharpen at 45 because 45 will hold up better. Our fishbone is done at 60 degrees, but that one is designed for razoring. You don't have to know the manufacturer's angles to do the edge right for the customer. It helps to be familiar with the shears. It helps to be to kind of know how good they are, what kind of angle you could put on it. But I think it helps even more to know how does the hairstylist use them. And she says she slide cuts. Slide cuts means they take the shears and they kind of through the hair. And I'm feeling to make sure that burr's gone. Now I want to go to polish. I'm adjusting my clamp up. It was at 50, so I'm about 53 now, I guess. The idea is I don't want to roll over the edge. Since these are her Hanzo shears, I might put a little extra polish on these. I think what makes these shears so popular and people like them so much is because, pick this up again. How many times has fallen on the floor? I'm just going to move it. You don't need to see this. I don't need to see it. Because they paid so much for them, they take better care of them. They get them sharpened correctly. And all those things make the edge last longer, makes the shears perform better. And frankly makes them, over time, really enjoy their Hanzo shears. Sometimes people want to discount, if they're selling shears, they want to discount the shears. But if they don't pay enough for them, they don't take care of them. And the better you take care of them, the longer they last. And the better they cut. Okay, these should be done. I'm going to clean them up and put them back together. And then we'll check and see what time it is. I think I feel a little burr on that one on the outside. On this one too. Let me do my nail buffer. Very gentle pressure. But then microfiber cloth. I feel a little bit of something. Should feel real smooth going down there. That's why I love the micro. Ah, there we go. So some of you may be looking at my red fingernails and saying, is she going to get her hands dirty? Yes, they do get dirty. You see that? Couple of tricks I've learned over the years. Number one, I've tried all the fancy mechanic stuff to clean up my hands. Actually, mixing, I have some, I think 10% peroxide like they use on your hair when they color your hair. I mix that with a little soap, and that seems to do as good as anything as far as cleaning up my hands. The other thing I've learned is, my manicure, them going in there and cleaning up my cuticles and getting a nice manicure every 3 weeks is about when I go. Cut my nails down because I can't have long nails doing this. Need to have some nails. Works better. And some of the guys like, I'm not going to have fancy red fingernail polish. You don't have to have a manicure. One of our sharpeners who sells a lot of shears, he's out in California. And he's in his 80s too. He goes in and he gets a manicure. They don't put polish on them, but they use like the little nail buffer. to shine them up, make them look pretty. And he says he can sell more shears because his nails look good, and they stay cleaner doing this because they just clean up better because the cuticles are cleaned up. My husband goes and gets his pedicures, get his toes done. He finds for less than the price he'd pay for copay and go into podiatry to get his toenails cut. He gets a better one and a massage and foot soak and everything. All right, so I put them together. I've kind of checked the adjustment. I think they're a little loose, but I haven't closed them yet. And I'm going to cut my tissue. So if there's any burr there, it'll cut it off. Then I'm going to check my adjustment. And I've already oiled them. Usually I recommend people oil them after they put them together and test them. Because if you take them apart again, and, if they're not right and you've got to resharpen them, you've got to make sure you get all that oil off. Because you don't want any oil on the stone. You don't want alcohol on that stone. Still a little loose. When you give these back, you want to have them a little bit on the tight side because they'll loosen up. Your number one complaint is going to be loose screw. See, I'm wiggling it. I think I'm going to leave it there. So let's see how they cut. Now the wet tissue does not tell me they're sharp. What tells me they're sharp is that I set the angle at 50 and I didn't polish over that edge. So what this tells me, if all the burrs are gone and all the nicks are gone. Now remember, it wasn't cut before. Drum roll. Ta-da. And these are done. I started at 42. It's 10:55. What's that? 13 minutes. It's taken me each shear a little bit longer to do. But I did the simpler one first. So if you've been watching all my videos, I just did 3 of these shears for a lady who's coming back for them. She could have been waiting. In 35 minutes. And I'm charging basically $30 a pair. So that's $90 I made in 35 minutes. These were simple shears. These were ones that nothing out of the ordinary. I didn't have to go to extreme efforts. I didn't have to fix somebody else's sharpening. This is the typical type of sharpening you're going to see. Might get some weird stuff when you're starting out because they're giving you things that no one else could fix or been sitting in a drawer. You're going behind another sharpener. But typically when you're out sharpening, this is what you're doing. This is how easy and quick it is. And it's some pretty good income. And you really can bless the person. If she hadn't used me, she'd have been sending her shears off to California, paying more, and it would be weeks without her shears, which is crazy. So I've got a lot of other videos. The one I suggest is here next. And go to my website, bonika.com, and download our information package if you're interested in coming in for training. That's what I do.